want to film? Do you want to film a floss tube video? Would you like to film a floss tube video today? Would you? Would you like to? Would you like to film a floss tube video with me? Would you? Mr. Thor. Mr. Thor. Do you want to film a video? Do you want to film a video? Okay, we can film a video. Hello there everybody, how's it going? It's Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I am here with my next weekly update. Today is Thursday, February the 16th of 2017, and I'm a day late. Sorry about that. I posted about it on Stitch Mania, but yesterday I tried to film. I promise you, I tried, but I was very much unsuccessful. We had some very extreme variable light. It was sunny, it was raining, it was cloudy, we had a sun shower, and it was like within the span of 15 minutes going through all of this. So I had a whole bunch of light issues, and so it wasn't in the cards yesterday, so we are here today. As expected, I have a little bit more to talk about than I did last week, because last week was just a whip update. So some things that we're going to go over today. I've got some administrative stuff. I tried to say those two things at once. I also have some questions to go over, some whip discussions, and some stash acquisitions, some plans, and I want to talk about books and a little bit of knitting. I'm going to try to incorporate a little bit of knitting into these videos. So, a couple of things. Before I start getting into the other stuff that you're actually here to see, I want to apologize. I am terrible about putting links in the description. I'm terrible at it. So I am trying to figure out a way to make that easier, to make myself more accountable, but also more consistent with actually doing it. And so I am going to set up a blog and use that for show notes effectively. And try to stick in those show notes before the video is even uploaded. That way I stay on top of it, because basically what happens is that I upload the video to YouTube. It's in that upload stage where I can't do anything. Like, I can't touch anything at that time. So I don't put in the links then. Then it's processing, and I don't navigate away. Even though it says that it can, I don't navigate away from that just in case something goes wrong. And then, by that point, it's like 7 hours after I started filming, and I'm so tired of working on the video that I just walk away. But that doesn't do any good, because I have mentioned there will be a link for sure for this, and then I just never do it. So I am going to make a conscious effort to do some show notes ahead of time, so that I just copy and paste, stick those into this new blog, and then that way if you want to access some of the things that I talk about, then it will all be right there for you. I haven't created this blog, but during editing for this I'm going to work on that, and so you will see the link here on the video of where that blog is, and there will be a link for that in the description. And I'm going to hope that this is what's going to make the difference, because I feel bad about not leaving the links that I mean to. So there's that. And then some other things. Oh, let's go over the thing that's a little bit obvious. Got my hair cut yesterday. It needed doing so bad. So, yeah, had to do that. So I did. There's not much else to say about that. What else? Oh, I wanted to say thank you. First of all, just thank you for subscribing and for liking and commenting and watching my videos. A lot of us say all the time, we put out these videos for you guys. As much as I would like to say that I do it for my own self, really, I do it for you guys. I do it for some interaction because most of us don't have stitchy people in our real lives. So thank you for interacting with me. And then I also wanted to thank everybody for your well wishes last week. My video was so short last week because, as you may know, I was going through a pretty serious migraine series, and yeah, I was hurting last week. I think it lasted for about 8 days, very consistently, and then it abated quite a bit. Abated, is that the word that I'm looking for? I think so. It did come down quite a bit. I can't say that it's all the way gone. There's still like something uncomfortable on this side of my head, but it's like low-grade headache at this point. It's not a full-blown migraine. It's not even low-grade migraine. It's just a headache that refuses to go anywhere. Oh good, the sun's coming out. We're going to have the same issues as yesterday. We're going to keep pushing on because I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to stop filming because the sun can't decide what to do with itself. So we're going to hope that it's okay. I don't normally film this early, so yeah. Okay, so that pretty much concludes the administrative stuff. I think I told you what we're going to talk about. So let's get on with the questions. Now, bear with me for just a second. I'm going to pull up my notes that have the questions on them. Okay. So these questions are coming from several weeks worth of videos. And if you've got questions, leave them below and I'll answer them next time. Okay, so first things first, one that I missed the last time I answered questions, and I'm so sorry for this. But Solar Stitches asks, I know you usually fully finish your Millhill kits, but what about the others? Did you ever frame any Pearl? Do you have any other things framed? And do you frame professionally or yourself? So there's quite a lot going on there. Quite a few nested questions. So I'm going to start at the end. And if I am framing something, I have not framed anything myself. Not successfully. I very roughly framed the I Love You More by Bent Creek that I did for Danny for one of our anniversaries a couple years ago. But that was very rough. So I don't necessarily count that. That needs to be redone. Basically, I stuck it in a store-bought frame like you would like any regular picture. Not framing. I have had some things professionally framed. Only a couple of them do I have here with me, and so I'm going to show you those. I think. I don't know what the glare is going to do. So this is going to be my Gigi by Nora Corbett, and I think over here is probably best, yeah. And this I had professionally framed at Hobby Lobby. I was doing this for as cheap as possible. Oh, you can see my reflection. That's creepy. I was trying to frame this as cheap as possible. So I took it to Hobby Lobby. I didn't want to do any mats. And like nothing extra special. So we were able to do it for less than $70. It was really, really reasonable. I don't love the frame job. I mean, it's a get what you pay for kind of a situation. And having the mats would have probably been really beneficial for this because this uses some pebble beads that you may be able to see right at the base of the broomstick. And you see how a couple of them are laid on their sides? They're huge. I mean, they're size 6 beads. And because there was no mat, there's only so much that spacers could do to be able to accommodate beads that big. So there's that. The other issue that I'm having, and I don't know if you can see it, you can see it kind of in the middle. It looks like the fabric is slipping. And I haven't been brave enough to tear into the back of this to see how they went about mounting this to foam core or whatever they used. I'm not brave enough to see that they glued it. That's kind of my ultimate fear. But it looks like the fabric is slipping. So whatever they used to mount it is failing or something else is going on. So yeah, there's that. But I have had some things framed by Michaels before, and I think they're really high quality framed pieces. I tried to look and see if I had pictures because they were both gifts, but very expensive. I think I framed the two of them and they weren't over large, and neither of them had beads, and it was like $500 for the two of them. It was really quite obnoxious. So yeah, that's a non-option. And then, let's see, I have something else here. So this is something that I fully finished as a card. Let me rephrase that. Danny fully finished as a card. And this was something that I did for Danny's grandma. And after she passed away, Danny's aunt stuck it in a frame and gave it back to us. So here's that. This was the iris that I did a few years ago. And I love this. This sits on our mantelpiece next to her picture. So there is that. So I finished it as a card. We finished it as a card. I have to remember that. We finished it as a card, and then it was in its final spot in a frame, and I love that. Let's see. Because of the cost of framing and a get what you pay for situation, I am embarking on framing by myself. I have something that I would like to frame by myself just to try to test it out. It's not a huge piece, but it is a linen piece, so I think that will be a really good sort of starter. Since I stitch on linen, I might as well learn to frame with linen and the complications that can come with that just because of the slubs and the uneven nature of linen. As far as fully finishing, I am what the Brits would call pants at fully finishing. I'm terrible at it. And here's an example. So this is my bucket O finishes. Yeah. And these, you might be able to see, there's old stuff in here. Old stuff. You want to see how old? Take Time by Dimensions, the very first cross stitch I ever did. Yeah, I'm really bad at fully finishing. Generally speaking, if I finish something, it goes into that bucket or a different envelope because I'm just not very good at the fully finishing. It's something that I would like to improve on, but I'm not making any grand statements or grand plans about that. And then, did you ever frame Mini Pearl? My answer to that is not yet. I would very much like to, because this was a big accomplishment for me. So for those who have not seen before, this is Mini Pearl, and this is a Heaven and Earth design. The artwork is by Rachel Anderson. This was the second cross-stitch project that I ever started. I started this in April of 2013, and I finished her July 25th, 2015. So she's a year and a half finished. Yeah, this was a big learning piece for me. I haven't yet had her, I haven't yet had her framed, but my plan is to do so. She is worth a professional framing or an experienced framing just because this was a huge accomplishment for me. She's so little, I forget how small she is. I mean, you know, my hand. Yeah, this was stitched 1/1 on 25 count Lugana, and I absolutely love her. I have no idea why I started her instead of the very first Heaven and Earth Designs chart that I purchased, but I did. So anyway, so that is my mini pearl, not yet framed, but soon, I hope. Okay, so I think that covers all of your questions, Solar Stitches. If you have any more regarding my fully finishing, feel free to ask them. Okay, next is a question from Alex Croft, who asks, when do you plan to work on the Reader more? So the Reader is designed by Joan Elliott. It's a project that I am absolutely in love with, and I have plans to work on her in March for Stitch Mania's History and Stitches month-long sale. I also have plans to work on her in April, but more details on that later. Unfortunately, because she's not a Year of Whips project, she can't be one of my focus pieces, despite the fact that I really want to work on her. So that's that. Next, a couple of people gave me some suggestions for alternate fabrics for my Stargazer. So I am doing a Virginia Tech inspired conversion of Stargazer by Mirabilia in honor of the tragedy at Virginia Tech. This year is our 10-year anniversary. It is also in honor of Mary Karen Reed, who lived on my hall freshman year, who passed away in the tragedy. This is a very emotional piece for me, for some obvious and some maybe not so obvious reasons. And so I just want to thank you, everybody who has sent in suggestions. I know that Cassandra mentioned Storm by Picture This Plus, and I love that fabric, but it's a little bit too blue, I think, for what I'm seeking. So that's not quite what I'm after. I'm thinking more stony, that stone effect. And then Adele from Adele Cat Stitches and loves rubber stamps and needlecraft. They both suggested Florin by Chromatic Alchemy, and I have since ordered Florin by Chromatic Alchemy. And I'm really, really excited to start to see that, and then hopefully be able to start my Stargazer. It's got a quiet, stony sort of coloring to it, and so I'm fingers crossed, really hoping that works. But here's the thing. If it doesn't, okay, then I'll go back to the drawing board and I'll find something that does. Because this piece is so emotional and it has so much meaning for me, then I'm gonna wait until I have the right fabric. And I mean, you know, I have fabrics in my stash that I could probably make it work. I could probably use something very standard, but this is important to me. So I will do what it takes to get the right fabric. That's that. And I'm not in any big hurry to start it. I wanted to start it on Mary's birthday, but it's okay. Not a big deal. So there we have it. And then the next few questions are from stitchers who are curious about my beading and how I go about beading. And so first, Jill DeSmet, she asked if I would be willing to do a beading demo, and I am in the process of figuring that out to try to film that either today, maybe tomorrow. Probably tomorrow, just because it would be easier on people's subscription feeds on YouTube to just to wait till tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that, Jill, because I would be more than happy to sort of talk about how I go about beading, and then to do some beading on camera for people to see. But she did also have some secondary questions. And I will go into this more in depth during that demo. But she asked, do you use invisible thread or do you match the color of your fabric? I use Nymo, and it comes on this little spool. This came with my chatelaine kit, and this is now my favorite thread for beading. So there's that. I used to use YLI invisible beading thread, which is suggested by the Mirabilia patterns, but this I find is excellent. And I will talk more about why I choose the invisible threads in that demo. And then she also asked, do you use a half stitch or a full cross? By and large, I will attach beads with a full cross. The only exception is on Mill Hill kits when they call for a half cross. I do the Mill Hill kits as directed. But if I'm working on a chatelaine or Mirabilia or Joan Elliott, even though I haven't beaded a Joan yet, those will be attached with full crosses. I like the uniformity. Sarah Richards asks, will you be beading in hand? And she's referring to my chatelaine Frosty Knot Garden. I am beading on my frame. I can't bead in hand. I am too uncoordinated, and I have zero interest in getting any sort of hand oils or anything on that piece whatsoever. I refuse to let it wrinkle because I can't wash it. It has over $100 worth of silks in it, and I'm not washing those silks. There's no way. So I am beading on my frame. Excuse me, I need a sip of coffee real quick. I will go over how I am accommodating my Millennium frame with beading in that demo. I found a really great solution that is going to take a little bit of tweaking just because of the type of beads that are used, but generally speaking, yeah, I bead on my frame. So there is that. Once again, thank you everybody for asking your questions. If you got them, leave them and I'll answer them next time. Okay, next we're going to switch over to the whip review. Here's the thing. As far as whips are concerned, I have just one. I have worked on one project since we last spoke, and that is of course my chatelaine Frosty Knot Garden. I have not worked on Big Bang Theory as I was supposed to. I have just thrown myself entirely into Frosty Knot Garden. So I do not have it here with me because I am beading it. And I am currently at a section where I have it set up on my frame exactly perfect for this section, but you can't see anything else. And so what I've decided to do is that I'm going to, while I'm talking, I'm going to insert some pictures of the progress that I've made over the last week with my Frosty Knot Garden. Basically, what it boils down to is that I am working on Frosty until it's done. And we're talking done maybe by Monday, which in and of itself is hard to say. It's hard to say that I'm in the process of finishing my Frosty Knot Garden. Honest to goodness, I don't even know what this life is right now because I've been working on Frosty since 2014. It is my oldest work in progress currently. And it just blows my mind that I'm at that stage with this project. So anyway, so when we spoke last, you'll be seeing a preview here of what it looked like at that point. And basically what I had to do was I had to finish up the branches on the one side as well as the bottom to finish up part 5. And then I had to tackle part 6. Now, I finished up part 5 maybe the next day. I threw myself into that and I got the branches done. And then over the next few days, I worked on part 6. And part 6 took quite a while because, and you'll be seeing at some point here a picture of the corner magnified. The corners feature these flowers, and the flowers are fiddly. And these flowers sort of confirmed to me that Barbara Anna's Around the World and Rosewood Manors and A Forest Grew are not projects for me. I don't do the fiddly 5 stitches of this color, 10 stitches of this color. Oh, that drives me insane. It's not my favorite type of stitching. So anyway, so those flowers take a long time to stitch. And then they take an even longer time to backstitch because you backstitch using Petite Treasure Braid PB number 10. And it's not easy to backstitch a fiddly flower. And there's 12 of them in part 6. So anyway, so part 6 took me a long time. And then on Sunday, I was able to start beading. Now, here's the thing. On Sunday morning, I woke up with a pinched nerve in my neck. And it wasn't major, it wasn't a big deal, but, like I didn't have to go to the hospital or anything, but it did limit the amount of time I could spend stitching and the amount of time I could spend beading. And so the beading has gone very slowly. Fortunately, I'm just about healed entirely, so nothing major, as I said. So I'm able to throw myself back into the beading. So since Sunday, so for about 4.5 days, I beaded part 1, which is just the very center, and then I beaded part 2. And part 2 is probably one of the heaviest sections of beads in the entire design, because it encompasses those 8 trees as well as the little green ornaments on the inside, in between the trees. So it's quite a lot of beading there in part 2. But can I just say that Delica beads are my new favorite thing ever. Seriously, they are awesome. Are they perfect? No, they are not perfect because they are still cut beads, but they are not as inconsistent as, say, seed beads by Mill Hill. These Delicas are just superb. There's a part there's a section in part 2 where there are 12 beads side by side. And if I was using Mill Hill seed beads, they would never fit. I would never be able to get 12 beads on a 32 count fabric side by side like that. But these, they fit beautifully. They look so good. Now these pictures that I'm showing you here, they are not detailed. They are not up close and personal. They might be a little bit, but my plan is that once I finish it, still hard to say, once I fully finish it, then I'm going to do a finished video where I can zoom in real close so that you guys can see the beads. There's such a wide array of colors. Pale pink and hot red and this aqua green and this matte stone color. I love this. I love this so much. I'm having so much fun with beading this. I have used, I think I've used 10 colors of beads so far, and I have completely finished the color of bead for 5 of them. So 5 colors I'm all done with. One thing that I did want to mention with regards to chatelaine beading. If you order the kit, the bead pack or the full kit from European Cross Stitch, then you get the beads. They don't send you like a full shall we say, box of each bead. They send you enough to do what the pattern calls for. And chatelaine patterns are really great because at the end it tells you an exact count of each of the colors of beads that you need. And so European cross stitch overestimates. But they don't send you a full pack, so you don't have like 12,000 beads left over with not a clue what you're going to do with 12,000 matte stone colored beads. So when I was beading this, I was a little bit concerned. I was a little bit nervous because you always lose a couple beads. They always find a way to fly. You think you stick your needle in the bead on the tacky bob, you lift your needle up and the bead should sit there. Well, sometimes it just goes flying. Sometimes your bulldog all of a sudden needs a head scratch, and so he bumps into you at just the precise moment for that bead to go that way. Never to be seen again. You have to know that they send you enough. They send you enough by a lot. And I'll insert a picture here so you can see one of the colors and how many beads I have left. I know that there's a lot of people working on their very first chatelaines, and you might reach the same anxieties that I did. I was terrified of losing a single bead because I wasn't sure how much they overestimate. It's enough. And so I'll insert a picture so that you can see how many beads I have left over of one of the colors. So that you don't face that same fear. So if you lose one, no panicking. Don't turn on all the lights and start looking for it like a diamond or anything. It's okay. It'll be all right. So yeah, there is that. And I am having a blast. I am working on the top half currently, and I will continue working to get it finished. Like I said, hopefully by Monday. Hopefully. I set a ridiculous goal of having it finished by tomorrow, but because of my neck issues, I had limited ability to stitch or bead very significantly. Here's the thing. I haven't cross-stitched since Sunday morning. And even then, I don't know that I actually did any X's. I think I was just doing backstitch at that point. So, as far as I can remember, the last time that I did any actual crosses was Saturday. So it's been like 5 days. So I'm looking forward to finishing that so that I can then get back into some cross-stitching. So anyway, so that is sort of my little spiel about Frosty Knot Garden. I'm so excited not only to have my first chatelaine finish, but also to get back to some of my other chatelaines, because I have 2 others currently going. Now they aren't mandala designs. Both of them are more band sampler style. But there is just so much. I don't know. I don't know that I really have the words for it. It's like Martina's just a flippin' genius. She's just so talented, and I am so thankful that she put these designs out there. There's just something so beautiful about these designs, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if maybe I have an obsession with symmetry, and so mandala designs are just checking all those boxes for me as far as symmetry is concerned. I don't know, but I'm loving it, and yeah, it's good times. So before I wax poetic for much longer, I'm going to switch gears and talk about some goals and plans. Okay, so my main goal is to finish Frosty, and as I said a few times, I expect to do that by Monday. And then I have a few days until my next video, and so I have some very loose official plans. Basically, my rotation has gone totally out the window. I have some goals but no official plans as far as when I'm going to be working on what. The first goal that I have, though, does sort of play into plans, and that is with regards to the Stitch Mania February fandom sale. This is the month-long sale in Stitch Mania on Facebook. Originally, I had picked 4 projects to work on for the month of February. However, since I have been so focused on Frosty, my week 2 project has gone by the wayside. My week 2 project is Big Bang Theory by Wee Little Stitches. And the fabric here is a 32 count Belfast in Dill by Picture This Plus. And just the same as you saw it last time, I have Penny and Rajesh finished up. And so my primary goal with February fandom is to finish this. And outside of this, we'll see what happens. I have 2 other projects that I had picked for this, the Darth Vader Sugar Skull by Stitchline and the Game of Thrones House Banners by Clouds Factory. Neither of those are going to see any attention until I reach these other sort of goals. And we'll just kind of play it by ear with those. But this is going to get finished after Frosty. I have another project that I need to work on some more. And so at some point between now and the end of the month, I need to put in another 1,000 stitches on Beauty the Beast by Donna Stitch. And this I am working on for the Cross Stitch It's Fun month-long sale, which is Once Upon a Fairy Tale. And so this is where I'm at, not about. This is where I'm at currently. This fabric is a 32 count Belfast in Cream by Zweigart. And so I'll work some in that flower and get another 1,000 stitches so that I can complete that cell there. Again, not sure when, but at some point. And then also at some point before the end of the month, I need to finish up my Ingleside Imaginarium Amethyst Dragon. This is the Birthstone Dragon Sal by Ingleside Imaginarium, as I said. And Amethyst is our February block here. I do have the crystal, but it's put away. Meant to bring that out, but oh well. So I will continue on with this dragon and finish it up. I was supposed to pull it out yesterday, but I was supposed to pull it out yesterday for the, the Color a Day sale in Stitch Mania. But obviously that didn't happen. So I will work on this in the coming weeks to finish this up before the end of February. So as I said, those are some loose goals, but no specific timeline or anything. I have some other projects that I'd like to work on this month, but those are the primary goals. So there is that. And I will report back next week. I may try to put together a schedule once Frosty is done, because that will be that's sort of like the catalyst for this whole thing. Once I figure out when that is, then I can schedule out everything else. Okay, now let's talk about some stash acquisitions. I have some fabrics and 1 pattern, and so I'm going to insert a picture of the pattern here. This past weekend on the 11th, on Saturday the 11th, basically a group of people decided to do this full price chart day for Heaven and Earth Design, sort of as like a thank you for all that you do, thank you for all of the sales that you have, but we're all going to buy a pattern at full price from Heaven and Earth Designs. And I was like, I would like to do that, because that's a really nice way to say thank you. Just to, a lot of times people are posting on the new official Heaven and Earth Designs board, well, hey, when's the next sale? Hey, when's the next sale? So I just thought this was a really cool thing. So I bought Persephone by Marta Dalig. Now, this project sort of has a bit of a story to it. This is the design that led me to Heaven and Earth Designs. So in 2013, when I first started stitching, after I finished my first piece by Dimensions, I immediately started searching for Persephone designs. Persephone has always been my favorite of the Greek myths. Persephone, I just love the story. I love how Greek myths explain things that happen in the natural world. And so Persephone is related to the changing of the seasons, because she has an overbearing, overprotective mother. I love the whole story of Persephone. So I knew that immediately I wanted to stitch a Persephone. So I Google searched Persephone cross-stitch patterns. Persephone by Marcia Dalig from Heaven and Earth Designs was one of the first ones that popped up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love that. It's got that dark feeling to it, but Persephone kind of looks like a young, innocent maiden. It looks like she's reaching to the sunlight, so there's like the aspect of trying to return to her mother, but also conflicted by, being wife to the underworld. So, I absolutely loved this design. But I saw the page count, and I was like, that's intimidating. That's way too big for my second cross-stitch project ever. I don't even know how to go about this, let alone a full-size Heaven and Earth design. So I was like, I'm going to put that on the back burner for now. So then I started looking at Heaven and Earth designs a little bit more closely. And I learned that the quick stitch and the minis and the story keeps, and they even have a designation called tiny treasures, which are super small. And I thought, okay, that's more on my level. That's something that I might be able to accomplish. And so the first design, and I'll insert a picture of it here, is Quick Stitch Crown of Shells by, I believe it's Rodriguez. I do not know their first name. I can't think of it, but it will be down here. And that was the first Heaven and Earth design that I ever purchased. So I pull up all the materials, I gather up all the DMCs, and can't find my pattern. Why can't I download my pattern? Shouldn't it just be right there? I mean, shouldn't it be easy to just access? I was so new that I didn't know how you download a Heaven and Earth design pattern, that you get one go, and that's it. Which makes sense, I mean, copyright issues, but I had no clue. So I'm panicking. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was so excited to start this, and I can't because I'm an idiot. So I emailed Michelle, and I'm like, Michelle, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that I could only download it once. Is there any way you could send it to me? But in the meantime, I was ready to go. I mean, I was ready to start a Heaven and Earth design. So I found Mini Pearl, and I downloaded that, and I printed the chart immediately, and I started it. And then, like, within 24 hours, Michelle got back to me, and she's like, oh, no worries, here's your chart. That chart still sits in my stash, untouched. But, so I worked on Mini Pearl. So I thought that as sort of a thank you for all that you do, it made sense for me to finally purchase the one design that led me to Heaven and Earth in the first place. So, so that's what I did. I purchased that one. And that was more story for a stash acquisition than I had intended, but there you go. There's my story. Okay. Next, I have some fabrics. And the first are my fabrics of the month. And I'll start with Hand Dyed by Stephanie. I love it when they both arrive on the same day. It makes me so happy. Because they did. This is Ice Crystals. And it is much more purple. It's like a purpley blue. It's gorgeous, of course. This is on a 32 count Belfast linen. And yeah, love that. That's pretty. So that will go on something. I already have a plan for this, but in due time. Next, we have from Under the Sea fabrics. This is so gorgeous. I don't know what I was expecting, but this is stunning. So this is also 32 count Belfast linen. And it's never going to pick up the color of this fabric. This is evergreen. This was the fabric of the month for January for Under the Sea fabrics. And it's never going to pick it up. So I'm going to try in vain to force it to. It is this green, but with some like blue. So it's coming up way more blue than it is. It's definitely green. Ooh. Yeah, but it's not that gray. It's like a rich green blue color. Let's see if it's showing up better down there. That's pretty, that's close. I just need to use my black background shirt. So, anyway, I love this. And this also has a plan for it to be discussed at a later date. Okay, next I have the fabric finally for my Fabulous Women in History by Clouds Factory. And it is Keone, and it is a double dipped Keone. So it's effectively darker. And this is perfect. This is exactly what I had in mind. It's Keone, I think, actually. So you say the E, just like you do for Persephone. This is, Leslie, you're a genius. This is exactly what I had in mind. So my original Keone is much lighter. I have since found a place for that to be discussed at a later date. But this is what Fabulous Women in History is going on. And I am going to have a start-a-thon at some point in March where I get to work on this finally. So excited. So there is my darling Keone, double dipped. Thanks, Leslie. Thanks, Stephanie. You guys are fabulous. Wish I could do what you do, because getting to play with color like that, that's just fun. Anyway, so that's all I have this week for stash acquisitions. As I said, I bought that Florin by Chromatic Alchemy maybe 2 weeks ago, something like that. So in a couple weeks I will have that to show you. I also made a small needle minder purchase. So I am currently over budget on my Stitch from Stash for this month, but finishing my chatelaine should be worth quite a few dollars. So I am not panicking quite yet. Okay, so then our last two topics are the extraneous topics. If you don't care about books or knitting, then I will see you next time. But just a few minutes here where I want to talk about books. So I am currently not reading anything, but I have read 3 books. I've finished 3 books since we last spoke. And the first was Stormfront by Jim Butcher. This is the first book in the Dresden Files. This is adult urban fantasy, and the main character is a wizard detective. And so he works in collaboration with the Chicago Police Department. Takes place in Chicago, and he gets involved in a supernatural case. They basically consult with him on crimes with supernatural elements, and it is hilarious. Now, as I mentioned, I listened to the audiobook. It's narrated by Jim Marsters, who plays Spike on Buffy. He is an excellent narrator. From what I understand, Annette from Annette's Acre explained that he gets the voices down better later on in the series, and I have a credit waiting, so I can go ahead and get the second book in the series and get that started. So excited. Um, Definitely a 4-star read for me. Um, it's kind of conflicting because it's a really fun ride. Um, Harry Dresden is a funny character. Their supernatural elements are super, like, it's just fun. Um, but I like that Jim Butcher wrote kind of scary vampires and mischievous fairies and other elements of the supernatural world. Um, really, really cool. Um, so, looking forward to getting into the second book. Um, it is what you expect out of an urban fantasy, and so that's why it's a 4-star as opposed to a 5-star. Um, it wrapped up real nice at the end, which kind of bugs me a little bit. I don't like when the ending is so tied up in a nice, pretty perfect bow that you would get in a Tiffany box. So, yeah, but really enjoyed it and looking forward to diving into the series some more. The next book is a little bit heavier. Impulse by Ellen Hopkins, and I finished this the same day that I finished Stormfront. I was just on a reading kick. And this book is intense. As we talked about, this is about 3 teenagers in a mental institution, a psychiatric hospital, sort of coping with their various mental health concerns. And it is huge. It's a junkster, but it's 666 pages written in verse. So it kind of looks like this. Not a whole lot of text on each of the pages. It is very emotional. Your heart's kind of in your throat because you start to care for these people. I had a discussion with Stephanie from Stephanie's Tiny X's about this book. She's read several Ellen Hopkins books. This was my first. And so we sort of had this discussion about how all of a sudden you find yourself caring for these people that have never existed. Not in real life anyway. It's one of my favorite things that authors can do. They can force you to have emotions about people, places, and things that you will never know personally. That's crazy. This book it's difficult because it's about teenagers who have attempted suicide. And that's just, it's not an easy conversation no matter what way you look at it. But you can learn some things about it. Ellen Hopkins handles the topics presented very, very well. There is one topic that kind of bothers me with the way that she handled it. And I won't go into detail about it, but she kind of brings this thing up and then lets it go as if it was nothing, and it should have been something more than it was. Yeah. I found myself crying at the end. Of course. Of course. And so I will need to get a hold of the second book. It is a duology, but not necessarily a series. So the second book, called Perfect, is about some characters that were loosely mentioned in Impulse. And so I'm curious. I want to check that out. So that is Impulse. And then the next book that I read was a very quick read. I listened to the audiobook of The Great Gatsby, written by F. Scott Fitzgerald, narrated by Jake Gyllenhaal. And it was really great. Jake Gyllenhaal does a really excellent job with narrating. His voices for the female characters spot on. It was good. I mean, it's a guy narrating for female voices, and it was really good. But the whole time I'm listening to this book, I have to keep reminding myself that the guy who plays him, who plays Jack Carraway, or not Jack, who plays Mr. Carraway in the film adaptation, is Tobey Maguire, not Jake Gyllenhaal. So I have to keep reminding myself that these are two separate people. I don't know why Jake Gyllenhaal was the narrator. I mean, with Pride and Prejudice, the one that I listened to, it was narrated by the girl who played one of the Bennett girls. So why was this narrated by Jake Gyllenhaal? I don't know. Just, I guess, an actor. Anyway, it was good. 4-star read. It was a reread for me. The audiobook is only 4.5 hours long. I mean, the book is only 180 pages, so it's a very short read. I find myself liking the story of The Great Gatsby more and more every time I read a new version of it or listen to a new version of it. Yeah, this was good. Like I said, I haven't been reading anything recently. I need to start American Street by E.B. Zaboy. And so I might do that here today. We shall see. That is one of the books for my Pop Sugar Reading Challenge. So we shall see when I get that started. So yeah, that's it for books. I want to start some other things for reading, but I'm making no plans because, yeah, so there's that. Okay, so now let's talk knitting. I am not going to show you everything that I have worked on as of late. I'm just going to show you the one thing that I'm really focused on. Now, I have started a pseudo rotation with knitting. Basically, I am cycling through all of my whips, and each of my whips gets 3 days. 3 days or to a logical stopping point. So, for instance, I am working on a Mr. Knit Along from last year, and when I reach the end of a clue, the end of a part, then I'm considering that a logical stopping point. So each project gets 3 days. Originally, I had done where I cycle through the entire list of, I think I have 10 current works in progress. However, I have decided to amend that a little bit. And that is with this project. This is the Ashburn shawl, because of course, by Melanie Berg, who is also Maryland on Ravelry. This is a paid-for pattern on Ravelry, and I'll be sure to link it in the notes. Wow, my needle really went through there. And this is for the Eat, Sleep, Knit quarterly KAL knit along, where we need to knit a Melanie Berg pattern in the first 3 months of the year. So here is where I'm at with Ashburn, and there will be a picture here of what this is gonna look like finished. I'm just barely started on the first of 3 colors. This I've been working on for the last 2 days, and so I'm going to work on this some more. Now this project I decided is that because this one I'd like to have finished by the end of March, I need to give it some more time than every 10 projects or so, or every 30 days. So in between each project, I'll be working on this for 3 days. So yeah, so this is a 3-color shawl, and that first color, all 3, I'm using Malabrigo Sock, which is a fingering weight merino nylon blend, and so that first color is Lettuce, and I'll be honest, I picked this totally on accident and then realized that the Pantone color of the year is like a spring green, so that was kind of perfect. So we have Lettuce. And then my second color, my middle color, is also Malabrigo Sock in Ochre. So this gorgeous honey golden yellow. It's a little bit richer than it's showing there on camera, but that's close enough. And then my third color is Eggplant, also Malabrigo sock. And it's showing up more purple on camera than it actually shows up in person. It really is like a dark gray. But I am pleased to see that there is some sort of purple tones in it. Sort of like purple leaning, eggplant purple leaning. Because I don't see that in real life. So this is sort of my colors. And I really like that. It looks really fall, but I'm good with it. So I am working on this, and this has some slip stitch color work in it, which I have mentioned previously, because I want to do one of the Lisa Haynes, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce her last name, one of her mosaic shawls, which is slip stitch color work. So this is the primary project that I'm working on, and then in upcoming episodes I'll talk about any other projects that I work on. So this is gonna get another couple days. Or another day, I guess, if I'm gonna keep on this schedule. Yeah, so there's that. Really simple boomerang style with some slip stitch color work for interest. Ooh, sorry. So yeah, I have another project that I'm getting ready to start. A long time ago, Blitz Stitch, Brian from Blitz Stitch, he talks about how he only lets himself have a new start after he gets through his rotation. And I'm going to do that with knitting. So I have this other project that I'd like to start here pretty soon, but I need to get through my rotation first. Excuse me, before I do that, before I work in another project. Now I have frogged a few projects, so my number of whips has gone down a little bit. Basically, I have taken from the KonMari, I believe is what it's called, method of sort of picking up something and seeing if you feel any joy with that. Can you hold this and feel happy? And some of my whips, I picked them up and I was like, this does not make me happy. So why am I knitting it? I'm not. That's the answer. So I have frogged quite a few projects, which is good. That's a good thing. Because I knit shawls, by and large, just shawls all day long, and I need to be a little bit more focused. So that's that. So yeah, that is all I'm going to say about knitting, and I think that's all that I have to talk about today. I hope so. I hope I didn't forget anything. So once again, I just want to say thank you everybody for sticking with me. Thank you for watching and subscribing and commenting. You guys are invaluable to me, absolutely invaluable. And I will see you next time, probably with my beading tutorial, or beading demo, I guess we'll call it. Thanks again. Bye-bye.